The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I am your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real
Craig
Estate
Barton Show.
Stop it.
Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Michelle. Oh my gosh, do we have to start over? I'm your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio that gets interrupted by Michelle Pettis-Cavalli each Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. You know, Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. You know, Michelle, within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice, and that's exactly what you're going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Thanks so much for joining us. What kind of meds did you not take, or did you take this morning?
I don't need meds. I'm just a happy girl today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Grammy, we got some.
I have 5 more wrinkles since last time we talked.
Is that
because I have a grandson now? And
yeah.
He's gorgeous.
So let's give your grandson some props on the radio.
Yeah, my little man Landon James Cavalli was born last weekend, and he's gorgeous.
Atta girl.
And he's wonderful, and it's my first grandson, and I can't wait.
You're just beaming.
I told my girlfriends, when there's 10 or 12, I might get bored. But until then, I think I'm good.
Or tell them to go home, right?
No, I don't know that.
No, you don't know that you would?
I'll feed him candy, sugar, then tell him to
go home.
That's it.
Atta girl.
Yes.
Well, as always, it is so good to have Grammy Cavalli here in the studio with us.
I forgot my cane.
Michelle Pettis-Cavalli, my special co-host from Valleywide Homes here in the studio. Michelle is a licensed realtor and my every Sunday morning buddy.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi. We're also extremely excited to have Tim O'Hare that has just been so startled by this train wreck so far this Sunday morning.
I'm so glad Tim's here this morning, though.
I'm here to calm you down.
I'm working with some of your clients.
Tim's
it might be hard to calm me down.
No, I am very happy to be here. Thank you.
Tim O'Hare, mortgage advisor with Valleywide Homes as well. Thanks so much for being here, guys, and getting up so early on this Sunday morning. You know, the Real Estate Radio Network gives us the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week. Our goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
Great job.
Thanks.
You know, today's show got a lot of stuff to talk about. You know, it's election season, and in less than 2 weeks, we're going to have a president.
Yeah, you know, I got my sample ballot in the mail yesterday.
Yeah.
And like four days before that, I got the actual ballot in the mail, which I found really kind of funny. And all I can think is, do I waste my time? I know that sounds terrible, and I'm a very political person, so I'm like, okay, I need to sit down and focus and get this done. But at the same time, the yahoos that are out there all over the news and all over the advertising, I'm just not feeling any love.
You're feeling a little disenfranchised, are you?
Sold yet.
A bit. I'm not sold, yeah, and I'm a salesperson, so let me tell you, it takes a lot to sell a salesperson.
Well, we're also going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news. And are you thinking about becoming a strategic default? Well, we're going to talk about exactly what a strategic default is. And you had better think twice, because the Federal Housing and Finance Agency might just be looking for you if you do.
New watchdog.
Yeah, exactly. What if also your custom home builder isn't running the tightest ship on the street? Should I say something? What are my options? Michelle's going to talk a little bit about that, and we're also going to take some listener questions. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions for either Tim, Michelle, or myself to answer for you, it all starts with the phone call. I would ask you, call us anytime, 800-979-3958. We'd love to hear from you as well as be a resource for you. You can also check out our resources online. You can shop for your new home as well as you can listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network by going to our website at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 Keywords.
Friend Valleywide on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 Keywords.
KMJ, call Valleywide.
To call us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. You know, we talked real quick about Press 4. Michelle, are you using Press 4?
I am. But only when I'm tormenting you at this point. My little application. I love apps, and I love that every time somebody says an app, the first question out of everyone's mouth, is it free?
Yeah.
Is it free?
Well, Press 4 is
a free app.
And it really is for all those times that you're away from your computer and you'd like us to share information with you about a hot property, about calling into the show. And that would be calling into the show anytime. Just go to the Press 4 website. That's PRESS, the number 4.com. Follow the easy setup instructions for either your iPhone, your Android phone, or your not-so-smartphone. And we'll start sharing information with you as soon as you get this doggone app set up. And it is free. I did say that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, good. Well, let's look at today's hot properties. Today's hot properties are brought to you by Perfect Inspections. Whether it's residential, multifamily, commercial, use Press 4 keywords, Perfect Home Inspections, or call Jerry Schooley today for your perfect home inspection at 352-6941. That's 352-6941. Jerry does a great job, by the way.
He does. I had a great meeting with him last week on a new sale, and he flagged us, hey, got some concerns.
Got some issues here.
My client's like, okay, let's figure out how much it's going to cost.
It's $300 well spent to be, for some informed consent.
Knowing what you're getting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And let me tell you, two of the parents of this buyer, well, she has parents and step-parents, are contractors. They work in the construction industry. And they'd been in the house, looked at the house, and Jerry actually came in and said, there's a little bit of a problem I want you to be aware of. Contractor guy said, let's get it done. Let's keep going.
That could be another whole topic, but the difference between appraisal and inspection is huge.
To help clarify. Call Jerry, 352-6941. Today's hot property is 6698 East Rocco Avenue, Fresno, California, 93727. It's what you might call what we would say here in the Central Valley or in the Fresno proper is Sunnyside. This 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,736 square foot home built in 2008. Sanger Unified Schools, all this for only $163,000, which is also, I might add, the appraised value on the property. It is a HUD home.
Nice.
And right at the moment, owner-occupant bids only. And I have to say this, in today's competitive marketplace, it does pay, or is extremely important, that for the first 30 days with a HUD home, a homeowner or someone that's looking for potential homeowner that's looking for a primary residence doesn't have to compete with investors, and that's really huge. That takes a lot of potential competition off the table, and it's way more aggressive than, say, Freddie Mac or the first look that you would see on some of the Fannie and Freddie stuff. So the bidding deadline is daily at 11:59 Central Standard Time, and that's 11:59 p.m. It's also eligible for FHA financing, and you could save yourself if your buyer is utilizing, or you are a buyer and you're utilizing FHA financing. You could also save yourself the cost of the appraisal, which is roughly $450. Again, if you'd like more information about today's hot property, please give us a call anytime at 800-979-3958. Or you can use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ Hot Property.
And we will send you more information about this hot property right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Michelle, let's talk real quick about finding your new home. There's a lot of resources online out there.
There are. Mm-hmm. Most of them ineffective.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. I shouldn't say ineffective. I should say outdated.
Yeah.
So
outdated in terms of the information they're actually pushing, because
in our market. Now in other markets they may be quite sufficient for what the turnover is, but here in our market, insufficient information is going out via websites, different portals, if you are not utilizing a MLS portal with your agent.
The percentage I saw a statistic a while back showing the percentage of folks that actually utilize the internet for their search, whether they're pre-approved or not. And again, it's extremely important. If you're looking for your new home, you've got to talk with Tim, right, Tim?
You have to.
Yeah, you have to. It's a must. It's a requirement. We call it.
Actually, it is a requirement by the listing agents.
Mm-hmm. You got to get yourself pre-approved. It helps to set the right expectation in terms of what you're going to qualify for, what you want to qualify for. You might qualify for way more than your level of comfort. You might say, "Hey, I don't want a payment over $1,000," but you might qualify for a $1,500 monthly payment. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show as to really how much can I afford and what are some of the variables that go into determining that. You know, you can utilize some of the old resources. You can use magazine, newspaper. Guide to Better Homes is a great resource that we utilize. But sometimes, and I do say this, Home and Ranch magazine as well, sometimes that material might be slightly outdated. And the reason being is in today's market, it might sell prior to it going to publication.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that it's not a great resource. It is a great resource. But the way that you can really stay up to date is by going to our website, REO.FresnoHomes.com. Right-hand side of the page, scroll down about halfway, and guess what? You can start looking for your new home. Right, Michelle?
That's right. Well, actually, I'll start looking for you.
Yeah, or Michelle can start looking for you.
I'm looking for Kimmer.
That's one of the ways you can actually find your new home. The other way is you can actually call us, and Michelle can set up a web portal for you. That is all real-time, accurate, up-to-date information when it comes right down to...
up to the hour, if you want,
Up to the hour, yeah, exactly.
They go live. So my clients get an email every time a new property that meets their criteria comes on the market.
And I would always suggest just don't be too conservative in terms of the amount, how you narrow your search. The more restrictions you put on that search, the narrower the search or the query is going to be. And it's extremely important. Keep it nice and wide. Don't limit it to just say, hey, anything under $150,000 and let's start looking. What are you smirking for?
I don't know. I mean, using wide on the radio. I'm just thinking, wide load. Oh, sorry. I need
what?
Maybe I should have taken medication this morning, you know.
Wow.
Sorry.
All right. Again,
hey,
if you...
I'm not a small girl. I can say things like that.
Okay.
All right.
Wow. Moving on. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions...
I want to know how wide your car can be going down the street.
Please help get us back on topic here.
Right,
We'd love to hear from you. 800-979-3958. Again, 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online. You can listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network by going to our website at REO.FresnoHomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend of Valley White on Facebook.
Or if you'd like to call us, and again, it all starts with a phone call, use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call into us anytime. We'd love to hear from you.
I'm going to behave during the break.
Please,
I'm going to get myself in check. Okay.
Well,
I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, thank you. All right. On that note, again, so Tim,
yes, sir.
Coming up, are you thinking about a strategic default? Well, you might want to think twice, as the Federal Housing Finance Agency might be coming for you if you do. And also, Tim's going to help us determine when is the right time to refinance.
Now.
Now. There you go.
Now.
Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958, and put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at PeteSeats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
You know, as we mentioned, 2 weeks, roughly about 2 weeks, 2 weeks from Tuesday, Election Day. It's getting close. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling the heat.
Yeah.
I think they were last, last Monday night?
They've only been campaigning for, 8 years?
Oh, my gosh.
Sure seems like it.
You know what's so sad?
Now's the time. What's that?
Well, the last debate, wasn't it in competition with the Giants game? And I'm kind of thinking the Giants game won. Yeah. And Monday Night Football. Because that's how disenfranchised I think people have become.
No, I think that's just how disenfranchised you feel, Michelle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just me. I was watching the Giants. Just
were you?
I was.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an exciting time for our country. And I tell you what, it's extremely important. Make sure you get out there. And as Michelle was saying... Yeah, what's that?
Place your vote.
Yeah, place your vote.
I'll have my sticker on that day. You know I will, because I think I've missed one election my entire life.
There you go.
Since I turned 18.
Yeah, they'd probably have to take you away if you miss this one.
I'm seriously going to vote and make my voice heard.
Yeah, extremely important. Make your voice heard. This is a pivotal time as far as our country's concerned. So get out and let your voice mean something. I really mean that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I heard earlier in the week, and I'll just share this real quick, and it's related to the election, is there was a story on the news, and there was a little Asian gentleman that was on his deathbed, mm-hmm. and his daughters were helping care for him. He has an inoperable tumor on his liver, and kept asking, when's the ballot going to be getting here? When's the ballot going to be getting here? When's the ballot going to be getting here? He got there, and he cast his vote. It was extremely important to him before he passed to make sure that his vote was heard. And it does make a difference. It does make a difference.
Well, and I think I can say this on KMJ. If you have a religious background at all, it doesn't matter what religion you are, pray. Pray that our country goes in the right direction to whichever
Very good point.
God you
Very good point.
worship.
Let's talk about Fresno County inventory. Last I checked last evening, 1,215 active listings in Fresno County. Now, it's extremely important to note, in September, 645, I say only, 645 units were sold, which is down roughly about 100 units from what we've been trending over the previous 5 or 6 months. You know, also we saw recently Fresno County unemployment drops. Interesting. Yeah, is that a trail from summer we're just counting the numbers now?
Well, we're in peak season of harvest, too, right
we
now.
Are.
We're finishing that
in
up.
a big way.
Mm-hmm.
And Timmer, mortgage rates continue to drop as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Tim, you got your bag of money on the corner? Because it's
always got my money.
It's going to be free soon.
It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, below 3s on a 15-year term now.
Oh,
fixed rate.
Yeah.
Can I mention a question I got this last week?
Go for it.
I was out with some friends this last week, and one of them says, "So Michelle, if you have if you want to invest in properties, is it better to borrow the money or is it better to pay cash?" I said, "Well,
it's all about the
that
leverage.
all depends. You know, it depends on your ROI, it depends what you're looking to achieve,
and depends upon your cost of money."
He says, "You know, I'm thinking, even though rates are 2.5%, it's still better." At the end of the day, if I have the cash to pay the cash. I said, why would you say that when you can use someone else's money and keep that reserves in your bank in case times get hard? Well, because then I don't have to worry about them paying their rent. If they don't pay their rent...
But you've already got the cash to back it up anyways.
It was just really interesting. Like, people's thought processes are so... Every person has a whole different...
They do.
...spin on what they would do if they could pay cash or borrow. I just find it so interesting, especially with mortgage rates where they're at.
Yeah, whether it makes dollars and cents is really irrelevant. It really is. It has no relevance in the process. It's however it works out in your mind. That's
whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So we continue to see inventories at just all-time lows. So really, right at the moment, we're at still roughly 1.3, 1.4 months. If you're looking at an average over the last 6 months, something's got to give. How can I determine, Michelle, what price to list my home for? Where do you start?
I always start with comps.
Yep.
Always. Half mile, quarter mile.
Yep.
Same type of property,
Right.
if they're available in that area. If they're not, I go further out if it's a unique property.
Right.
But definitely want to see apple to apple. I want to compare apple to apple. Same size home, same size land,
Sure.
etc. So that's where I start.
Does it matter how much you owe?
As to what you're going to list your property at? You need to be cognizant of it, but does it matter what you owe? Not necessarily,
Yeah,
no.
I would have to agree because it's all relative.
Yeah.
Bottom line is your house is going to sell what your house is going to sell for.
Yes.
You've got to take into consideration. That was kind of a loaded question because I knew where we were going with this.
What about upgrades that you've done?
Got to take into consideration.
You can take them into consideration, but is an appraiser going to give them actual value? Probably not.
Not necessarily.
But it does move the property quicker.
It will move. Aesthetics will definitely move the property
It helps
quicker.
to sell it. Helps to move
Absolutely.
it.
But when it comes down to getting what they've offered, it all is going to be centered on that appraisal.
Yeah.
Sure.
You've got to compare apples and apples. Very rarely are you going to see an appraiser compare apples and oranges, and that just means that if you're talking, it depends upon the density of the property where it's located. You've got to compare a property with another property within a variation of, a couple hundred square feet
With like characteristics.
Yeah, with like characteristics.
And
so
hopefully there's a good appraiser.
Yeah. Oh, in a big way. I was speaking with a client earlier this week, and she had called and said, hey, wanted to kind of get a feel for my dad passed away and wanted to kind of get a feel for what mom and dad's property was worth. And it's east of town, out on almost 5 acres. It's not as dense out there, but everything out there is, typically 5 acres, a decent sized home. You've got a shop, you've got another metal outbuilding or a pole barn. Some of those folks out there have horses.
Still the country living.
Yeah, it's that they specifically want to live out there because that's the way of life that they really enjoy.
Well, and in mentioning that though, how do you feel about somebody saying, "Yeah, I know my property's worth $300, but I want to list it at $350"?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. When you're talking about that particular price range, there's greater opportunities because someone may have the cash to bridge the gap. But it's going to depend upon the property. It's an extremely competitive market out there right at the moment. I think you do have to be realistic. You could price it over market and just say, hey, I'm just willing to sit and wait. That's all good and fine. As long as you have the right expectations set in your mind, based upon what I'm going to tell you, is that if this property is really, truly worth only, what did you say, $300, and you want to price it at $350, and you're hoping that someone's going to bridge the gap, then you're waiting you're saying I'm willing to wait for that special buyer because I really truly think that my house is worth more, or and I don't mean this in a negative way, but it's going to sound that way. I'm just getting a little greedy.
I think your house. I think your house is worth what someone is willing to pay for it.
It is.
It is.
Totally.
It is.
Totally.
But the appraiser may not agree with you. Because you're not using your own money, you're using the banks, and that's where it comes into question.
Sure.
I totally agree with you, though.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about strategic default. Well, the strategic default, first and foremost, is when you make the choice to go. That's exactly what it is. You've got a house, you've got a mortgage, you're upside down, typically, because that's the motivation. You're upside down, you don't know how long it's going to take.
And you feel like you're never going to pay it off.
Exactly. And it's going to be a while before you recover, and you're plus as far as your equity is concerned. So at a certain point in time, you decide to walk. Well, the Federal Housing and Finance Authority just might come looking for you. It looks like the pendulum has swung and is swinging the other direction, where the Federal Housing and Finance Authority is actually taking a look at, because of the huge losses they've taken in the past, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they're actually looking at coming after folks, which makes you wonder. I guess the logic is you have the means.
It's another government agency that we can afford?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Exactly. Thanks to Dodd-Frank. My gosh. I guess it is that you have a choice. If you're going to short sale the property and there's been some sort of
agreement,
hardship, that they're not going to come after you. If you lose it due to foreclosure, they're not going to come after you, especially if there's a hardship. My question is, how do they go about determining if it is a strategic default or not? Because the burden of proof is going to fall upon the agency to do their due diligence and to provide the information necessary to say that you were not under any duress or some sort of hardship?
Well, I mean, there could be 1,000 what ifs, but one comes to mind quickly would be, what if you and your wife were splitting up at that time?
Yeah.
And then you got back together afterwards?
I'm sure there's some variable.
Good for you. Well, that depends. That depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, I know.
I knew you weren't happy, Tim, so we're glad that's working out for you. I'm sure there's a laundry list of or a litmus test that you're going to have to pass.
Yeah, it's just I find it interesting.
How do you differentiate who's strategic or not? And how do you make it look that it's...
And when you said they're coming after you, what does that entail? Is it fines? Is it...
Good question.
They're discussing.
They're discussing exactly.
They haven't figured out what they're going to come after you for yet.
Again, you can't legislate stupid out of the equation, Tim. Must I say that every week?
Yeah, exactly. So just think twice about it. If you're going to short sale it, it sounds like you're way more in the clear, unless it's going to be after the end of this year, because that whole short sale forgiveness deal, the fiscal cliff that we are quickly approaching. It doesn't appear that Washington's in any hurry whatsoever to make any decisions with regards to taxes, the fiscal cliff, debt forgiveness, anything along those lines.
They're too busy fundraising and trying to get reelected. Okay, moving right along.
Very true. So, Timmer,
yes, sir.
When's the next time, or when's the right time to refi?
Well, my first reaction would be now, just because rates are so low. But every situation is different.
I had a call last week, not to interject real quick, but I had a call last week, and somebody said, talking about, so what would rates be and this and that, and asked them a list of questions, and then said, then their comment was, isn't the rule of thumb typically that you've got to lower your rate by 2%? And I said, you know what? That's an outdated, antiquated,
Well, and the thing is if you have a situation, 2 points, I mean, that's a huge amount, which right now that might very well be true with the rates as low as they are. But, I think it's more so each individual case you're going to look at, because someone that's saving $100 a month might be ecstatic about that.
What's the goal? Yeah. What is the goal?
Especially if their mortgage payment's only $800.
Right.
That's huge.
And you got somebody else that's, their house payment's $4,000 a month and they're only saving $200. They might think it's a waste of time and money to go through the process.
Right. I think it really, going back to the client's need and what is the goal?
Yeah.
What is the goal?
And, we've talked about this before in the show. It's been a little while since I've been on, but the HEART program.
I think that was a jab at us. It's been a little while that I've been on.
We saved this special day just for you. Do you know he had me on here with 5 people last week? I felt like I shouldn't have been in the room.
There was barely enough room in the room.
I was sitting on the floor for a while.
But the HEART program is still a viable way of refinancing when you're upside down on your home.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Good point.
And quite frankly, I feel like if you're in a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loan and you're able to refinance with somebody, I think you should do it, because rates are not going to drop any low. Well, I shouldn't say any lower, but I don't think they're going to go much lower.
Yeah, take that back, because by the time we get out here tomorrow morning when rates open up, it's going to be another.
Yeah, there's going to be a quarter drop.
So let's consider this, though, boys, and I think something to bring to the attention of the public. What if you can go from a 30 to a 15 and it's a wash?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I mean, don't hesitate. If you're not checking, shame on you.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
So, are you going to stay in that property for an excess of, say, 36 months? That's probably a real critical question to ask in the process.
Right.
Is it your primary residence? Is it an investment property? Is it a second home? What's the total cost? When we talk about cost, that would be your non-recurring closing costs in the transaction, not your prepaids. Because your prepaids are interest, taxes, and insurances, and you're going to have that.
Pay that anyways.
Yeah, you're going to have that anyways. And then what's your monthly savings? And you divide your monthly savings into the total cost, and that tells you, hey, I need to be here 33 months to recoup my cost. So at that point, I begin saving money.
You begin saving money, and then there's also that opportunity. Let's say you're not in your dream home, too, and you want to move up someday. You're planning on having kids down the road.
Well, Michelle brought that up recently, is that now's a great time to be able to leverage that, because
you lower your payments, then you can start renting it out, let somebody else make the payments for you.
Yeah, yeah, very true.
And possibly you could get into a new house with a lower payment than what you're paying right now.
Absolutely.
So call Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. No, really.
No. It's first call Tim, 349-0789. Again, call Tim O'Hare, 349-0789.
I date his clients. I take them out.
Wow.
Go look at price. Hey, we're a great team.
So that's how they close all the deals.
No, never mind.
Wow.
It was a joke, boys. But you're not very fun today.
I take that back. And then once you're pre-approved with Timmer, then we can turn you on to Michelle, and Michelle can date you.
I don't mean never mind.
Okay.
Goodbye. Take you to show houses.
Yeah, there you
Let's
go.
do it.
Exactly. That's what we meant to say, of course.
No.
Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions for Tim, Michelle, or myself, it all starts with one call. Call us, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online. Search for your new home. Check out all the HUD homes that we have. Owner-occupants only for the first 30 days. Go to our website, REOFresnoHomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or to call us right now. Use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call us right now. Barely right now. Well, coming up, how much money do I need to make a month to buy a house? That's an important question, huh, Timmer?
It is.
Yeah. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valley White Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valley White Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at REOFresnoHomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valley White Homes to work for you. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097. And take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, guys, a question that I get quite often is how much do I, and I really mean this, I get it all the time. And it's not just, it pops up in the process quite often. How much do I need to make in order to qualify for a home, for a mortgage?
You'd be surprised. Not that much.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, as far as qualifying purposes, we qualify you based on 45% of your gross income.
Yeah.
So
roughly.
Yeah. So if you're making $1,500 a month, I don't have a calculator in front of me, but you're probably looking at about what, $725 payment or something like that. So, and then if you have a spouse that makes about the same amount of money, I did some calculations at one point in time. If you're both making minimum wage and you don't really have any debt, you can qualify for about $150,000.
So let's say you and your spouse make total $4,000 a month. Well, 45% of that,
$2,250.
If I can get my little stubby fingers to work here, 45% of $4,000 a month is $1,800. So your mortgage payment plus all of your other obligations, and those are only those obligations that are reporting to the credit report. That doesn't take into consideration life insurance, PG&E, or cell phone, or any of those other things.
Right.
So $1,800 a month, and on a $1,100 house payment, you can buy a $150,000 home. And that's a generalization, but it's real, you could have, in this instance, $700 in monthly outgo in an automobile and maybe some minor credit card debt.
Right.
And still, between you and your spouse, make $4,000 a month gross and qualify for a $150,000 purchase.
You probably qualify for more, but again, you brought it up earlier. What's your comfort zone?
Yeah.
So and that's a big question I always have for my clients is I always tell them, I can probably qualify you for a lot more than what you think.
Yeah.
But what I try and gear towards is, where are you on comfort level of your property payments? Right now, you're paying $800 a month. You want to stay around there? You want to go a little bit higher? You want to go a little bit lower?
Really important, and matching up that expectation in terms of, hey, I'd like to have a $900 housing payment, but too many times consumers will come in and they'll be playing with a mortgage calculator online that doesn't include taxes and insurances, as an example,
and it doesn't also include the loan type,
and as well PMI.
Right.
So whether it's conventional financing or FHA financing, it's not necessarily representative. So their expectation might be that they're able to qualify for more because they've just been looking at principal and interest. And I go back to when I first bought my first home, and I was way off. Really was.
Yeah, and me as well. I mean, it's an ever-changing market, obviously.
Yeah, in a big way.
And they're talking about the FHA. Monthly premium right now it's at 1.25%, and then depending upon if that's going to change again, that's going to make a difference of either higher or lower what you're going to qualify for.
And we've seen a lot of changes in that, Tim, just for the simple fact that HUD's minimum reserve requirement, that they're below that, their congressionally mandated reserve requirement, and that's why we've seen such changes.
Right.
As well, also, that HUD makes up, HUD insured or FHA insured loans makes up such a huge percentage of our market, especially here in the Central Valley.
Sure. Well, the rates are so attractive in that program, that product. It's roughly about 0.25% less than it would be on the conventional side.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you go that way?
3.5% down. Bless you.
Thank you.
3.5% down on on $100,000 purchase. That's $3,500.
Right.
And you can borrow with a CHDAP loan.
Correct.
Which is a silent second. You can borrow that 3%. So then the minimum that you have to come in with CHDAP is what again, Tim?
1% or $1,000, whichever is more.
Gotcha, man. That's amazing.
That's cheaper than getting into an apartment on first and last month's rent.
Yeah, and if you're paying $1,200 for for rent right at the moment, you can buy quite a bit of house and probably more than what you're in right at the moment.
Right.
It's just amazing. Let's talk about it. We received this underwriting horror stories. I'm just going to say real quick here, that's kind of a dangerous term because, with so many lenders, and Tim, you've brought this up before, with so many lenders, you have a HARP loan or a lender that does unlimited loan to value as far as HARP's concerned. And their underwriting turn times after the first quarter of this year when HARP 2 really started to pick up some traction, you saw their underwriting turn times balloon. And
astronomical.
Yeah, it got to be where our joke was, they're underwriting files from 2002. They're so far behind. Well, and it's not that far off, really.
About 2003.
Yeah, it all goes, I think, in setting the right expectation. Well, this particular note that came in from one of our listeners said that we've been trying for a home loan, and we've been in underwriting for about 3 weeks. And really, what does that mean? We applied almost 4 weeks ago, and after a few days, the bank sent us a packet of papers to sign and ask for copies of pay stubs, bank statements, and et cetera. Well, this past Friday made 3 weeks since we handed all that in, and I tried getting in touch with the bank and got an email back from them that they said, well, I hope you received the email I forwarded on October 15th explaining the process of your application. Your loan was, quote-unquote, decisioned on October 19th by our underwriting department, and you will receive the information in the mail this week. If you have any questions, give us a call. I don't know. I think in this particular instance, if it's been 3 weeks in underwriting, it all starts with setting the right expectation. Mm-hmm. After the consumer turns all their stuff into you, Tim, and they sign application and disclosures, that gets submitted to the lender. And then, like we spoke with Mike Clark from Sierra, the regional manager from Sierra Pacific Mortgage last week, it then goes through a process that's federally mandated, and it's called setup. And setup is the lender ensuring that this loan is disclosed correctly. Yeah, by law.
Yeah.
And he gave us an example last week and said it's like estimating that it's going to cost $800 to put a toilet in your house. And unfortunately, because it really actually cost $1,000, that we've got to give you the whole house for free. and that really amounts to what the disclosure requirement is. It puts that type of scrutiny on every loan that they disclose and originate.
Yeah.
And there's tremendous responsibility there. So it all goes with setting the right expectation up front.
Absolutely. And, once you receive the documentation back from the client, for me personally, I'd rather meet face-to-face, but obviously this individual sounds like they didn't. It was done, probably over telephone and email. And at least meeting them face-to-face, you have them sign your disclosures, you submit that back to them, and then I let them know, I can pull up what the turn times are for that particular lender that I'm sending them to. So I can at least advise them, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we received your packets on this day. It's going to be approximately 2 weeks before you hear anything. If you do have any questions in between, I'll be more than happy to discuss it with you.
Sure.
But I'll put a follow-up date for 2 weeks and just say, just looked at your file in the underwriting system. Here's kind of where we're at with it. And go from there.
What happens next? Yeah. And Michelle, you said you never can have too much communication in any transaction.
Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Extremely, extremely important. Another interesting story here in the news, is the foreclosure crisis over, or is it getting worse?
Of course, it started.
Well, I think it started. I think we're pretty much in or through the densest part of the forest.
Yeah.
And we're quickly approaching the perimeter. Every market nationally is so different. Our market here in Fresno, we've seen a gradual increase in monthly or average sales price over the last 6 months because inventory is so tight. And one of an agent that actually works in our office with RE/MAX Advantage Plus, another company that we work with, asked the question, do you think that this is something that we're headed towards that perfect storm again? And I said,
if we're not careful,
I think we always have to be cognizant of it. But you keep in mind nationally, those the markets in Atlanta or Ohio or Michigan or Vegas as well as California, they're always going to help water down that national quote-unquote pickup as far as housing prices increased 0.7% this last month or whatever it might be, because it is an average nationally. Fresno, we have to be careful because inventory is so shy. I don't think, though, and I will say that I've said this before, I don't think it's a case that we will experience all the variables that we saw back in 2002 through late 2006. Having financing that readily accessible really created a huge glut of buyers on the market that could qualify for financing that maybe shouldn't have had access to. And if you've got too many buyers on the market, what are they going to do as far as too many buyers?
Demand.
Yeah, it's simple supply and demand. They're going to drive prices up. And then, unfortunately, when the whole entire house of cards came crashing down, it was absolutely devastating. Well, more than 12 million. I read a statistic a few weeks back, and it says here in this particular article, more than almost 12 million homeowners are currently considered to be underwater who are still making payments. 12 million homeowners nationally. That is a lot of people. Probably many of those are potential candidates for strategic foreclosure, just to walk away.
Yeah.
And may want to think about not walking away. It also says there are more than 1.5 million homeowners who are at least 50 years or older that may have lost their home to foreclosure since 2007, when the mortgage crisis actually began. The scary part there is that if they did lose their home, and there's so many people that are in excess of 50, and here I am, quickly approaching 50, less than a year away.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Getting someone that's a senior that's in excess of 60 or 62 that is experiencing hardship as far as their home's concerned, can't afford to make their mortgage payment. What other things are going unattended to as far as their life's concerned. That's a huge, huge hardship. And it just absolutely breaks my heart that we see that. Now, the other thing that's interesting to note, though, is that there has been a push, and I'm surprised that we haven't heard more about it, given that it's the political season, that there is President Obama is pushing for what you might consider to be, we might call it HARP 3.0 or something along those lines, Tim, that might alleviate or help to minimize the foreclosure crisis, because, the HARP 2.0 only accounted for or is only able to help those mortgages that are being serviced by, or that are owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac.
Right, and Fannie's a little bit more
aggressive in terms of Freddie Mac, not so much.
Not so much.
Yeah,
but Freddie is also, at least in this area, doesn't own as many either.
Yeah,
so
it'd be interesting to see if something like that does come down the pipe, and I'm surprised that has not been leveraged more. I guess it's especially right at the moment. Libya is a hot button. In other words, foreign policy is a huge hot button. We saw that earlier in the week as far as the presidential debate's concerned. But really, at what point do we continue to not talk about what's been going on in the market and that we need a HARP 3.0? I don't know. It feels to me, I feel like in Fresno County proper that we're headed the right direction.
Yeah.
But I feel like nationally, there's too many markets that are still inundated with REOs. And let me tell you, in Georgia, if there's 40,000 listings in Atlanta, Georgia, or in Georgia in general, that's a lot of doggone properties on the market. And to get through that, how many other folks is it going to affect as far as those folks that are close to being underwater or not underwater yet, but the market.
But their neighbor sells or gets foreclosed on and sells for a cheaper price. You're in the same boat, even though you're not.
They're close to walking.
Yeah.
That's the difficult part. Only time will tell as to whether this foreclosure the foreclosure crisis gets any better in the Fresno market. It sure seems like we're headed in the right direction, but we shall see.
Well, we've had the blessing also here locally of having a lot of investors. We do have a lot of money here locally that like to invest in properties, and so that has actually done a lot of sparking of our local economy in the housing market. They are competition for our first-time home buyers, but it's a good thing as far as some of that rebuilding of neighborhoods.
Yeah, investors help to make the world go round.
Because we are in such an economical region, where some of those other regions you discussed, the pricing may still be way above what economics makes sense for.
Really soft for the region because of the number of REO properties or available properties that are on the market. Well, again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Call us anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online. Search for your new home at REOFresnoHomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend of Valley Wide on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keyword KMJ, call Valley Wide to get connected to us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, coming up, we are going to take some listener questions. Make sure that you stay with us. You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley Wide help. Valley Wide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958, and put the seasoned professionals at Valley Wide Homes to work for you. Valley Wide Homes, NMLS number 342062. 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460.
Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country? The whole country. From Pete's Seats right here in Fresno. If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events. Local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at Pete'sSeats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097. And take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, guys, we mentioned earlier we were going to take some listener questions, and I tell you what, we've got a couple really good ones today. I just hope we have plenty of time. James from Visalia asks, I am having a custom home built. My first question is, are you getting what you're paying for? By a builder, and I went to the job site, and there was no plumbing that was roughed out in the foundation. In order to put the plumbing in, the builder had to jackhammer out a considerable amount of the foundation. Now, what's wrong with this picture? Just to put in the plumbing that was missing. Isn't the plumbing supposed to be there and inspected before the foundation is poured? Wow. What are my options at this point? And I'm worried that the contractor is not on top of things and that it will ultimately be at my expense.
It will. Honestly, it will. It will be at their expense because they will either end up with a product that is not what they asked for, or the builder will have to make up the cost of having changes made later after the fact in some capacity, or he goes upside down. So, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's paying for it, and generally it's going to be the buyer.
Hopefully the builder's up and up.
That right there is what I'd want to check. If you have a builder who's doing that, and it seems to be a consistent issue on your project, they consistently are making changes not because you request them, but because they've messed something up. There's always things that happen in construction. I mean, there are always little problems, tweaks, whatever, that you have to go back and repair.
Missing plumbing seems kind of major to me.
Plumbing is the absolute first thing you do before, and I only know this from my contractor friends.
Yeah.
Before foundation, plumbing should be in the house.
Well, it's interesting because
in the ground.
I'm driving by a construction site today, and sure enough, the guys are out and they've got their plans out on a big old board out there, and they're roughing out the plumbing. And the perimeter, as far as the framing for the foundation, is there. They're roughing out the plumbing, and I'm thinking that's a perfect example of exactly how it's supposed to be done.
Correct.
Now, let me just say this: what I did is I asked James, does he have any photos? Well, he went and took some photos of this foundation. I'd say
take photos every day, James.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Because that's a concern. The next thing I would say, check his contractor's license and his insurance. Does he have a license to be doing this?
Well,
and is your municipality doing inspections? If so, contact the municipality.
Not to be negative, but that should have been something that was done up front.
Absolutely.
To make sure that those two are in place. Also to get some references from other folks that have had.
Well, and there's phases on these properties, and it's kind of amazing to me that they got through that phase without being signed off by an inspector.
Yeah,
evidently they didn't get signed off, so now they're going back to fix it.
Well, that's
exactly. Thank you.
Either that or they didn't call for the guy to come out because they realized that they had screwed up.
But a foundation is one huge piece of cement with zippers in it generally, and I mean, I don't know that specifically, but I'm thinking that once you start jackhammering it, the solid surface is no longer solid. I don't know if anybody gets that part.
Yeah. In other words, you've got to go back. You've got to put the plumbing in, you've got to put the plumbing in. Then you've got to compact the dirt in there. It's got to be inspected before it's filled in. It's just, again, I'm not a contractor, not an inspector, but common sense tells me, run.
Get one out there.
Run.
Yeah. You can't run.
I also encourage him. He needs to call Tulare County and speak with someone in building and planning and speak with an inspector and ask the question point blank: Is this right? Is this right? Because if it's not supposed to be right, we need to address it right.
Well, and one more thing before we move on, which I know we don't have much time left, but did they put a construction loan in place? Because the lender who is paying for that construction to be built is going to have regular inspections as well. And if they see problems and concerns, they're going to stop the project. And that money is not going to be handed over. Now, if you did not get a construction loan, let me tell you, that is a sure way to keep a project on track is a construction loan, because nobody gets paid till it's done correctly.
It's called staged funding.
Correct.
Yep. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that we cover here on our show, call us anytime, 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website and check out past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network at Fresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To call us anytime, we'd love to hear from you. Well, a big thank you to Tim O'Hare, mortgage advisor at Valley White Homes.
Thanks for having me.
Tim, thanks for being here, buddy. If you have any financing questions, whether it's a purchase or a refinance, whether you've got equity or not, right, Tim?
That's right.
Give Tim a call, 349-0789. That's 349-0789. Also, a big thank you to Grammy Pettis-Cavalli, here with me today, my co-host.
You're welcome.
It's so great having you.
Even though you mocked me, both of you.
Oh, stop it. Behave, would you please? Also, a big thank you to Johnny B behind the mics. Johnny, great job, buddy. Always good having you. Johnny has a great time hanging out here with us on Sunday mornings. Our goal of the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market, so we can help bring you
back home.
Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday at 7 a.m. right here on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.